Hmm. Hello, hello, everybody. I'm going to jump on here a few minutes early and test the audio. So, thanks to everybody who's here a few minutes early. You can kind of help me out, make sure that you're seeing everything okay, you're hearing everything okay, and try to get all my ducks in a row here before we officially begin at 10 a.m. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. I'm on the West Coast, so it's going to be 10 a.m. for me. So just let me know if you're hearing this. Audio loud and clear. Excellent. Make sure my different Ustream shots are working. Oh, I apologize in advance if I look totally exhausted. It's because I am totally exhausted. My wife and I had a baby about a week ago, our daughter, and so we don't sleep anymore. So that's fun. All of you with kids will understand that. It's been an amazing week, but it's been an exhausting week. So let me just make sure my thank you. My audio is working on all these different shots. Check 1 2, full screen slides shot, working. Give you guys a look at the new studio. I'm actually broadcasting today from my little home office while the bigger studio on my property is still being completed. So I'm hopeful that this will be one of the last live streams out of my home office and that we'll get in the bigger, nicer studio from this moment forward and just try to make the production quality a lot better than what we've got here today. Yeah, everybody's getting in on the chat. That's good. Yeah, if I knew how to eliminate the social stream from this little user interface, I would. But it's not quite giving me that option. Okay, about 1 minute, we'll hit record and we'll jump into it. Where's everybody streaming in from today? Let me know in the chat where you're at. Just want to make sure everybody's still hearing me here. Hamburg, Germany. Oh, beautiful. Chi-Town, Tampa, New Zealand, Houston, Dallas, Milwaukee, Philly, Kansas City. I love it. That's the coolest part about all this is how everybody's from different places all over the world. This is probably Croatia. This is probably our most diverse semester we've ever had. So I'm just excited about the prospect of you guys getting into your groups and sharing diverse perspectives, learning more about where each other live and come from and what's going on in your world. All right, so it's 10 a.m. Let me stay true to my word. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. Gonna hit record. Welcome to the spring semester 2016 of MoGraph Mentor. Thank you for everybody who could make some time on this Sunday to come out. And I am just going to dive right in. This is not really going to take that long, but let's run over just a few of what today is about. Big takeaways from today. I want to make sure you understand how the program works. So I'm going to briefly talk about the live classes, and then we can take some questions and just what is expected of you, just the nature of this. You probably already have a good feel for it. You probably already know, but we'll run through it again and take some questions just to make sure that we're all on the same page. We want to make sure that everybody understands what's due for week 1. If you're coming into class 1 or class 2, you are expected to show up to that first week with a deliverable. And then we'll just run through that same list again like we've been running through in terms of setup, talking about the Fuse app, talking about Slack, which it looks like we've got almost everybody into the Slack channel, which is fantastic. That's totally changed the program. I absolutely love Slack. We talk a little bit about Dropbox. Digital tutors invites went out, so we should be making some progress there. And then I'll talk very, very briefly about some analog things that are expected. You are asked to use pencil and paper in this course, so we just want to make sure that has been made clear. Let me jump to my next slide. So let's talk about these live critique sessions. They're going to take place once a week. And here you're seeing an image. We took a screenshot. This was from Ryan. It looks like from a PC, so the app might look a little different. But this is the Fuse app. And essentially what it does is it gives a live video and audio feed of everybody in your group. So everybody's seeing everybody, which hopefully makes it feel like a really live, sort of immersive experience. You need to know your time and day. We're finalizing those today, and we're going to send out an email tomorrow with your final mentor assignment, the time of your class, and the day of your class. Now, if the time and day that we assign you just does not work, you send me an email and we're going to work that out and try to get you into a slot that works best for your schedule. So this happens every semester after we come out with the time and day of your class. Some people it works great. Other people say, no, this doesn't work so good. And there's a little bit of horse trading at the last second, a little bit of mayhem. But we'll take a few days, iron that out, and get everybody set up. We try to be really, really flexible. And we want this program to work in your schedule as good as possible. So we're going to do that on a case-by-case basis. Come prepared to pitch your work. Come prepared to talk. Come prepared to present the whole last week of everything you researched, everything you were thinking about, all the sketching you did, all the designing, all the animating. And be prepared to pitch that to your peers and your instructor, and then be prepared to receive feedback and to take notes. We are going to set up a pretty simple Dropbox hierarchy as sort of the server for the school, where you will have a shared Dropbox with yourself and your mentor. And that's just a really simple way to, when you've got a PDF presentation in week one, you just drop it in the week one folder of the Dropbox. And again, tomorrow, once we're finalized on class times, we're going to set all that up. And it's really simple to get it going. So with the Fuse app, it's like any web conferencing application. You've got to make sure you have as much bandwidth as possible to have a smooth experience. So that means if you're coming into your live class, turn off everything else. Turn off Slack, close your Facebook tab. Don't be downloading something, torrenting something. Like, dedicate your bandwidth to the class to try to make it work as smooth as possible. And if you have great internet, you can probably run multiple things, and that's fine. But if you've got weaker, sort of a Wi-Fi signal, just make sure to clear your bandwidth. Bring headphones. A big thing with web conferencing is just the nature of sort of a feedback loop between your microphone and your speaker output. So just make sure you've got headphones ready. Even simple ones will do. And these classes can run a couple of hours. And there's going to be moments in the classes where you're listening to someone else's presentation, maybe thinking about giving them some feedback. So I always like to tell people, bring a drink, bring a snack, bring a notepad/doodle pad. Just to keep yourself a little bit engaged during some of those moments where maybe you're not specifically presenting or the mentor's not doing a demo for that specific moment. So almost like a live college class, it's going to go a few hours. Bring some stuff with you to try to make the experience just as smooth and as enjoyable as possible. Now, we also tomorrow's going to be, we're going to be throwing a lot at you in terms of your assignments, but we're also going to, if you're new to the program, get you your login credentials for the student site. And here's just a preview of a couple of pages. And what I want to call your attention to here is understanding your week-to-week assignments. Now, on the student site, we have class pages. So if you're in class 1, you can go to the class 1 page. And you'll see here, class 1, week 1, what's due. You choose your theme, you work on a word list, you do mood boards, any additional R&D, and it needs to go into a PDF presentation. Class 2, week 1, same thing. It's going to tell you exactly week by week what you need to be focusing on within the context of the project that you're doing, and exactly how we would like you to format it. So it's a really simple approach. A lot of this is just mirroring what was in the handbooks that we gave you, but as opposed to pulling up a PDF handbook, every other day, it's just on the student site. We want this to be a useful hub. We've tried to make improvements to the site to make it as easy as possible to understand, and hopefully help you pace out these projects. Hopefully by now it's no mystery or surprise that this course is project driven. This whole program was created by people that went to art and design schools, and we looked at how are people learning at the best art schools in the world, and the answer is they're being asked to make work, and then there's a week to week sort of unpacking of critique and of going through projects week by week, and that's how they do it. So that's how we have formatted this. So this is really, really about making work, which means you need to be prepared to make time every week, make time to do the work. Now, the next thing I'll call your attention to, and this will be on the student site as well, is we ask for some specific formatting on the week-to-week assignments. So, for example, week 1 is kind of a pre-production week for everybody in all their classes. And when you have a pre-production week where you're maybe doing some sketchbook, you're finding some references, you're putting it all together, don't just put 30 different JPEGs into the Dropbox. We ask that you put it into a PDF presentation. Now, the reason we ask you to do this is to help the classes run more smoothly. It helps clarify your thinking. It helps the mentor queue that up and share it with the class or upload it into Fuse. So you'll see there's just some really simple, specific PDF things that we ask you to do. We ask you to export it at a screen resolution. And if you're totally new to creating a PDF in Illustrator, we have a tutorial on this same page that'll walk you through step by step exactly how to choose the right export settings, and so on. Now, on weeks where you're turning in a video, so if you're working on your thesis piece, or you're doing the infographic animation, or you're doing the bouncing ball animation in class 1, we're asking you to export MP4s at no higher than 5,000 sort of bits per second, which is going to be good quality, but it's going to be small enough to be manageable. It's not going to eat up your Dropbox space. We want everyone to be able to do this course on the free 2 gig Dropbox, so we want to keep file sizes reasonable. You can work in full 1080 HD, but we ask that you export at 720p. Again, to save space and to help the classes run as smoothly as possible is the idea. So again, this is project driven for 2 reasons. One, you just learn the most when you have to sort of struggle through a project and do every single step. We want you guys to understand process. We want you to become better designers. We want you to become better animators, better directors. And that only comes through making work. That's one side of it. The other side of it is we're about career development. We want you to have stuff for your portfolio. So if I was in your position, I would be using each of these projects to try to beef up my portfolio to get me to where I want to go, which means put samples in your portfolio of the work you want to be doing for hire. So it's sort of 2 reasons that these projects are important: to learn, but to beef up your portfolio so your career can advance, right? This is an investment you're making. The return on that investment is hopefully getting tons of freelance gigs, getting job offers, making money, making work, doing what you love. So as you're making these projects, make time to sort of ingest some of the formal theory that we're throwing at you. On the student site, there's going to be all these posts about animation principles, design principles, process, the graph editor, things like that. Consume that content, take it in, watch it a couple times. We're going to do more live events this semester where we talk about that stuff. but just sort of ingest that as you're working on the project. So for example, in class 1, your first project is a design project. So as you're working on your frames, make yourself go back to those design principles. Think about variety, contrast, emphasis as you're working on your frame. So do some self-critique as well. After you do a first draft of a frame, ask yourself, does this have variety? Does this have a clear emphasis? Is there enough contrast here? Is there any rhythm? The same with animation. Critique yourself. Is there squash and stretch in this? And I can see a sort of a typo here. I forgot on this second line. But the point being, try to balance this formal theory, these formal concepts, with the real practical nature of making work. I think is going to be your best bet. So 2 things you already know, but we're just going to throw at you. Slack. If you're not already on Slack, if you're having trouble getting integrated onto the Slack team, please let me know. It should be really, really simple to get set up. Slack is a great way to stay connected. Now, once you have your final groups, there's going to be group-specific chats that are just private for you and your classmates and your mentor. But then there's just school-wide topic-specific channels, design, Illustrator inspiration, tutorials, random, things like that. Now, Dropbox, as I said, is going to be our file server. And if you can see the little example here, we're going to make each of you a folder that we're going to share with you. And inside that folder, there's going to be 12 subfolders listed as just the 12 weeks of the assignments that you have. Just go ahead each week, put your deliverables, so your PDF presentation or your final MP4, into the appropriate folder so your mentor can see it. Ideally, you would have your materials in there well before the start of class. Now, maybe there's going to be a week that you're so pressed for time, you're turning in your PDF 30 minutes before class starts. Now, if you do that, that means your mentor didn't really have a chance to look at it in advance and kind of think about it, and they're going to have to sort of shoot from the hip a little bit in terms of critique. And that's okay, that can happen, but to make the most of your mentor's time and their mind, just try to get it in there early. Try to get it in there the previous day, if you can. So try to give yourself that deadline when you can make that work, just to try to maximize the amount of feedback and the quality of feedback that you get. So putting pencil to paper. You will be asked to put pencil to paper in this program, and we've got on the student site under the resources label some specific recommendations if you're just totally new to buying sketchbooks or buying sketching pencils. Really anything will do, let's be real. Any pencil and paper will do. Some copy paper and a number 2 pencil is fine. But make sure you have these things, because you're going to be asked to do sketches, to do thumbnails, and that's a huge part of being a motion designer at a very high level, is being able to express ideas and compositions and concepts and transitions with pencil and paper before you design it, right? And that's going to be a constant throughout every single, even the first animation assignment in class 1 is a bouncing ball. We ask you to storyboard that first with pencil and paper. We just believe that it's a huge part of being a motion designer, and that you can get more ideas out more quickly, and your work is going to be better if you put pencil to paper first. And that's going to be sort of non-negotiable in this course. So we're going to give you that heads up now. If you need to run out or order on Amazon, make sure you've got some tools to work with. That's really it for sort of this formal presentation. If you've got some specific questions, let's start filling up the chat stream now with specific questions. Looks like everybody's in the chat, nobody's in the social stream. That's good. So here's another thing I would say is, if you're having issues during the week, you've got a big problem, I am available 24/7, quite literally, at hello@mographmentor.com. If you just have a general chat or just a general question and it's not really time sensitive, find an appropriate Slack channel to throw it in there. The thing that we want to avoid is you emailing your mentor for every little thing. Our mentors work full time. We have an amazing group of mentors this semester, but they all have very demanding careers of their own. So the idea is to make the most of the live class time that you have with them, and then the interaction on Slack when they have time to get in there. So here's a question. Where do you find the list of supplies needed? We make some recommendations about supplies and tools on the student site. So once you get your login, you'll be able to see that. But none of that's mandatory. As I said, even just a regular pencil and some copy paper is probably going to be good enough if that's all you can get. The only things you really must have were the requirements that were made public before you even applied for the program, which is Adobe After Effects, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, and Cinema 4D, which we provide Cinema 4D licenses. So next question, would you prefer pencil and paper over a Wacom Cintiq? No, if you want to draw digitally, that's fine. I'm sort of working under the assumption that most people don't have a really robust Cintiq solution. But if you want to draw digitally, that's fine. The point is just some type of quick sketching apparatus. So if it's pencil or paper or it's a Cintiq, that's fine. So in terms of pencil and paper, I'm sure this is covered, but should we be prepared to scan and upload the drawings we do? Yes. So if you draw stuff on pencil and paper, get access to a scanner or just take a picture on your phone. Just find a way to get a digital image of that into the computer so you can put it in your PDF presentation. So for people who haven't drawn physically in years, are there some exercises you might suggest to get back into it? Yeah. So on the student site, we have a quick demo tutorial about some really basic drawing exercises. And, my background was not in drawing at all. I was quite terrible at it. And even now, I'm probably a below average draftsman in terms of my eye-hand coordination with a pencil. The easiest way to start is to draw lines of circles, evenly spaced. Do a next row, maybe slightly larger circles, big circle, small circle, big circle, small circle. Get the eye-hand coordination going, then I'll just draw straight lines, evenly spaced, and just fill up an entire sheet of just getting my eye-hand coordination going, and then I'll typically maybe move to something slightly three-dimensional, draw some three-dimensional cubes, some very slight perspective drawing. I think the biggest thing about drawing exercises is the eye-hand coordination, because you might be able to see in your mind a really interesting composition or shape, but if you don't have that eye-hand coordination, that's what sort of kills us beginners, is we see something in our mind, but we can't quite bring it to fruition. So let's see. Should we be prepared to present our work after uploading the PDF video every week, or just a quick introduction? So yeah, somewhere between a quick introduction and a full presentation. You're going to upload your work, everyone's going to see it, and then we want to know your thinking behind the decisions you made. So that's kind of the presentation aspect of it. You don't have to talk for 30 minutes, but even just a few minutes of, this is what I was thinking, this was version 1, and then I moved to version 2, and this is why. Letting us know your thought process is going to be important. So I know there's a time sharing feature when it comes to watching digital tutor content. Is it possible to run out of time? Do we need to be conservative with the content we watch? So great question. Digital tutors is afforded to us on a licensing model. We've not ever had any problems with having too many people using it at once, and if we did, we would up the number of licenses that we have to try to remedy that. I think we currently have 5 floating licenses. So the only instance there would ever be a time limit is if all 5 licenses are taken and there's a 6th person waiting in line for a seat, and then it gives you, I believe, a 2-hour running countdown to either finish what you're watching or just have an additional 2 hours. When I look at our stats and our data, we've almost never had 5 people using it simultaneously with a 6th. So if we run into that this semester, we'll add licenses because we don't want you to really have to be that conservative. If you're solving a problem and you're on a project and there's a digital tutors tutorial that's helping you with the technical aspect of something, I want you to have the full ability to work through that stuff for as long as you need to. So Miller 10, if we have a day that really isn't good for live class time, would that be helpful for you to know beforehand? Yeah, go ahead and send me an email today. That's a great idea. If there's a time that's like you have a prior engagement that's on the books, send me an email, hello@MoGraph Mentor. Get that on my notes now, so that when we make final assignments later this afternoon, we won't waste your time by giving you that slot. That's a great question. So as I was saying at the beginning, this is going to be hopefully the last time that I'm broadcasting with this lower production quality for you guys. Currently in the process of renovating a studio. My family and I just moved to Oregon, and we're going to try to build out a nicer sort of broadcast studio so these can be a little bit higher quality. And this should be sort of the last time, hopefully, in this setting. So one more question here. If I have a regular membership, can I use that license to view the video? So if you already have a membership to Digital Tutors, then I guess you don't need access to our floating licenses. But if you want to let that expire or cancel it, we're already paying for the floating licenses. So if you want to save a few bucks, you could certainly do that. Is having a tablet a huge advantage in the first course? Not really. I think a few years back I even thought, if you have specific tools, you really have a leg up. If you have interesting ideas and you can leverage design principles to make really beautiful work, pencil and paper. We've seen people do amazing stuff with pencil and paper and, a crappy old phone to get the scans in. But if you've got a tablet and that helps you work faster and more prolific, then that's great. For Class 1, okay, so now a question about Class 1, Week 1, this designing for a theme project which was introduced to you guys via the PDF. So for Class 1, should we have our theme, word list, and sketches ready? So you're not expected to have your full sketches ready for Class 1. If you already want to start doing some sketchbook work, then you're going to be ahead of the curve. If you've got time to put pencil to paper and start thinking about some frames, I say go for it. But what we're asking you to come ready with is your theme, your word list, and your mood boards. So yeah, let's talk for a second about this designing for a theme project. We do the design project first because myself and all the other mentors, when we were really planning this, came to the conclusion that motion design, first and foremost, is a visual medium, which in our opinion makes design probably the most vitally important aspect. If you can design really, really interesting, engaging, beautiful visual works, it's okay that maybe your animation skills are growing, but the hard part really is the visual, right? You can learn to ease things. You can learn the animation principles. Animation, you're going to get better with time. Design is hard on a couple of levels, so that's why we start there. So what's the goal? Why are we asking you to do this design project? We want you to grow as visual artists. We want you to understand the process of developing visual work from just a random theme or abstract idea all the way to finished frames. That's an important process to know. But again, we also want you to be executing something that you want in your portfolio. I'm really believe in career development. You guys are spending the money. I want you to get a return on your money as quickly as possible, and that means getting jobs. So on this week 1, we ask you to do mood boards, and mood boards are going to be a combination of visual references in terms of maybe a style you would like to pursue. You look at some giant ant piece or something from some other artist that you like, and you say, wow, I really love this style. I kind of want to move my portfolio in this direction. Use this project. So bring those samples to class with you. That's going to be that mood board. The other aspect of visual reference is maybe even just real world images. If you're going to do an illustration of a coffee mug, maybe you need a couple of Google images of different styles of coffee mugs so you can think about the form or the general shape of the coffee mug you're going to do your illustration around, right? So week 1's a pre-production week. If you want to get going on sketching, go for it. Always try to get ahead. Always try to get ahead. But what is expected is for you to choose a theme, have a word list, and grab some reference images. How are the mentors assigned? Is it random, geographical, student experience? So that's a great question. It's half random, it's half geographical. That's probably as good as I can put it. We want to make sure, so the biggest challenge from my perspective is the logistics. We have people all over the planet, students and mentors, just getting people's schedules to line up in a way that works for everybody is the number one concern. We try to choose mentors that are all relatively similar in terms of being good designers and artists and good animators. We tend not to select mentors that are really, really good at shape layer animations, but like nothing else. We're trying to choose people. Most of these people have gone to art school, so they have that full rounded view of the craft. So the mentors are all going to be really, really similar in that regard. So how are groups created? Will it be random? So again, that's half random, it's half geographical. Most of the things are going to end up around scheduling. I do not feel comfortable being in front of a webcam, so is it mandatory to appear in person? I can show my work rather than my face. You got to show your face. I'm sorry. This program is about being able to present your work and connect with your peers and your instructors. Not only do we want you to become better artists, we want you to get to know these people. These are going to be connections that are going to help your career. I want you to get to know your mentor. I want them to get to know you and your peers. We've already seen from people who have gone through this program how they're collaborating together. They're getting gigs together. They're bidding on projects together. They're connecting with mentors and getting opportunities at studios they never thought they would get opportunities at. So I can't make you appear on camera, but I can say that everybody feels a little bit awkward at first getting on camera. I don't even love it myself. Who likes to listen to themselves and see themselves? But I would just say, just try to overcome that hurdle and get the benefits. Get those benefits of getting to know these people and letting them get to know you, because half this equation is hopefully making lifelong connections that help you grow your career. Okay, all fantastic questions. We've been going for about 30 minutes. Yeah, I figured this would take about 30, 45 minutes. Thank you for taking some time out. I'm just going to hang out for another minute or two. I'm sure there's a bit of a lag between the live chat and actually this stream. So if you have any last questions to address, if not, as I said, there's going to be a lot coming at you. We're going to have the whole mayhem of final scheduling, getting you into the student site, and getting prepared for this first week of live classes. I'll say that every new group, things always start a little bit slow. Things are always a little bit awkward when you're in the web conferencing mode. But just have fun with it. By week 2 or 3, you're going to feel really comfortable, and it's going to be just a really simple, awesome way. You're going to really get to know your group. It becomes pretty intimate after a few weeks. You become invested in each other's lives, and that's sort of a fun aspect of it. So let's see, another question here. What is the application that will be doing the live video chats? It's called Fuse. And once you have access to the student site, you're going to find a link to download it. It's really simple. You're going to make a free account, and each week your mentor is going to send you a link that you're going to click on, and it's going to launch your Fuse app, and you'll come right into the classroom. So it's going to be really, really simple to use. So is a Cintiq, what should we aspire to in terms of useful tools to speed up workflow? You know, you don't have to have a Cintiq. You don't have to have anything expensive or fancy. Pencil and paper and an old phone to get those images in. If you've got a better scanner, that's even better. But you know, bring your mind and bring a lot of effort, and that's what it's going to be about. So when we'll be given access to the student site to include assignments. So tomorrow morning, all the credentials will get created for all new students for the student site. I may have missed this, but when is class 1? So tomorrow we'll have the specific mentor assignments, so you'll know your class day. So if your class is on a Saturday, your first live session won't be until January 30th. If your class is on a Sunday, then it'll be a week from now. It'll be on the 24th. So it'll just depend on who your instructor is and when your slot is and when your actual first class is. We don't do like one specific time for all the classes. Okay. Thank you guys. I'm really excited. This is the largest student body we've ever had in the program. This is the most number of classes we've ever had. This is the most diverse group in the student body we've ever had. So I'm feeling just incredibly grateful and optimistic and excited about the just, you know, avalanche of amazing work you guys are about to produce. Really push yourselves, ask a lot of questions, really push your mentors. You know, once you find out who your mentor is, dig through their portfolio and create a list of questions. Really, you know, hold their feet to the fire, ask them how they did things, ask about process, and just utilize those live class times. These people have high-end experience. They have tons of connections. Truly make the most of this experience. And as I always keep it saying, you're making an investment. Get a return on that investment. I want each and every one of you to go through this and then to be my collaborators. I want to hire you for stuff. I want to give your name to great clients. But we've got to build amazing portfolios so we can start passing your names around and getting that return on investment. So these projects are opportunities to learn. They're opportunities to beef up your portfolio so you can hit the ground running. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. If there are any additional questions, hello@MoGraph Mentor. If it's general, I'll see you on Slack. Thanks, guys. Bye.